Time's midday and it's the 16th of November, and this is my room at Chiwatari Lodge. Single room, no window, but only got the skylight above. It's $45 per night. Arrived yesterday after walking in from the airport, and stayed the night. So I've got a second night tonight, and then tomorrow it'll be over to Stewart Island on the ferry. Last night I went to the Countdown supermarket and the Pack and Save supermarket to have a look around what was available. Countdown supermarket is same as Woolworths. Pack and Save is a New Zealand owned supermarket chain and seems to me significantly cheaper than the Countdown Woolworths. I bought a few things yesterday at the Countdown because Pack and Save closed at 9 p.m. and the Woolworths stayed open later. So by the time I got down there, the Pack and Save was almost closing. This morning I've been down to Macpac and got some freeze-dried. With the members discount, they were 20% off, so it was quite a good deal. They're two persons served, so I'll use half each night, and I think I've got about 7 of them. I think 1, 2, 3, 5. Yes, there's 7. And also bought a gas cylinder at Macpac, so no discount on that. And just been to Pack and Save and got the rest of my food. I still have to go get some more milk powder. That's one thing I've noticed, that the milk powder is quite expensive here. The cheapest 1 kilo bag of milk powder seems to be about $10, with the Anchor brand up at $15 for 1 kilo. At the Pack and Save, the Whittaker chocolates were, I think, $3.50, I think, whereas at the Countdown they were $5. So I'll now pack up my food and then see, whether it'll last me. Time is 12 and all set up at the Stewart Island Backpackers, staying tonight in the tent. Just about to go wandering around the town and check in, get the dock backcountry pass and go to the water taxi people and find out about tomorrow's trip to Freshwater Landing. It's quite muggy here. Temperature's about 19 degrees Celsius, and sun shining intermittently through the high white cloud. Time's 5:35 and at the South Sea Hotel. Just been for a bit of a walk up to the past the church over there. I think what's that? That must be west, I suppose, towards Lee Bay and Horseshoe Bay, which is the start of the Raggedy track. Very nice. The sun came out. And in the sun it's warm, but out of the sun, coolish breeze. So tomorrow be off to Golden Bay at 10:15 for the water taxi to Freshwater Landing. That's all sorted out, $60 for the fare, because there's another group coming back, so otherwise if it was just for me to go out there then it'd be $120. So it's my fortune that there's another party that wants to come back. So the journey on, I think, about the 8th of December, I'm the only one scheduled so far, but it's still a ways off, so that may change. Time is 5 to 6 a.m. and birds woke me up at about 5:30, I think. Must be sunrise then. Rained a bit overnight, starting about 3 o'clock, but I don't think it's raining now. So I'll cook breakfast and then pack up, and got to be down at the jetty at Golden Bay at 9:45 to go to Freshwater Landing. Breakfast will be rolled oats and pancake. Time is 7:41 and just been down to the Foursquare supermarket and got some Panadol. Time is 10 a.m. and water taxi's just arrived. Still raining steadily. The skipper just told me that there's one other person on the boat out to Freshwater Landing. departure at 10:15. It's a 45-minute boat ride from Golden Bay out to Freshwater Landing. The boat can only get up the river at high tide.
Well folks, this is the entrance of the Freshwater River here. So from this point, just to let you know, we're going to be moving reasonably quickly up the river. There are quite a few tight bends, so the boat will lean from side to side as we get around some of these corners. Just an awareness thing, so if you're going to be up and moving around, please make sure you use the hand grips, okay?
It is about 15 kilometres from Freshwater Landing out to Mason Bay. It crosses some very low-lying flat country and it's prone to flooding after heavy rain. The worst of the swamp has an elevated wooden platform to keep you out of the muck. When I arrived at Mason Bay Hut, it was unoccupied and remained that way for the rest of the night. The time is 5:10 and back from rather brief attempt to get down to the beach. I was wearing this down jacket and started to rain, so had to bolt back. I didn't want it to get wet. Now the sun's come out, so that's been storing my time on Stewart Island so far. Rains, then the sun, and then rains again. Time is 9 o'clock and it's been lightly drizzling for about 3/4 an hour now. All packed up and I'll be leaving soon. I'll head down the beach to Kilbride and camp there. I think maybe 2.5 hours, 3 hours to Kilbride. Bit windy, but that's the way it is here. First attempt to reach Kilbride Homestead was blocked by this creek. It did have a bridge, but it was no longer in place. It's all broken up and lying on the grass. Eventually I returned back to the beach and crossed the creek at the beach. It's now 2:30 and I've erected the tent out the front of the cottage. Stay here tonight and then see what's like tomorrow. Just contemplating going down to see the gutter. I should add it's a very nice view from veranda, but with all the rain clouds around, can't really see the island that's at the end of the bay. You get the sun shining through the cloud and lights up the bay. Time is 5 to 4 and back down at the beach. looking a bit finer now, at least it's not raining. The time is 5:14 p.m. and I've just been exploring the gutter. Walked right past it to begin with, but wasn't sure where it was. But when I looked back, I could see the big waves on the exposed side of the headland, and so I wandered across there and took some photos. This is the end of Masons Bay Beach, and I believe it's about 15 kilometres long to the other end. So it's about 7 kilometres back to Masons Bay Hut, which is about midway up the beach, and then another 7 kilometres beyond that to the other end. That second part is on the northwest circuit. I've just done a pan around from the end of Masons Bay Beach right round, and about midway through the pan you can see the far end of the island, probably up near Raggedy. That'll be where I'll be in a couple of weeks' time. Back at the homestead, feeling quite warm now. Wasn't the case earlier after I arrived at the homestead. It was a bit damp. Thought I was going to be cold. The pants were all wet and the top layers were damp. So I removed all those layers and then I hung them from the clothesline on the veranda and put on my spare clothes and the down jacket, and that warmed me up. Temperature is 8 degrees Celsius. Tent about 8 p.m. last night. There was hardly any breeze, but now tent's shaking around a bit. So it's handling it very well. Not at all concerned anything's going to happen. Comes and goes gusts. Sending a message through the yellow brick that I'm continuing on to Doughboy. Then plan to stay there 2 nights and then decide which way to return, whether to continue through Fred's camp or return back same way. Depends on how much I like the mud on Adams Hill. Got a bit of a shock when I got the olive oil out to do the pancakes. Seems to have solidified a little bit. Time is 8:06 and all packed up, and I'm leaving Kilbride. Tent's all wet, so have to dry that at some stage. Looking slightly brighter than it had been earlier, but still a lot of cloud around. Time is 8:43 and I've reached the exit point from the beach. It's marked by a couple of buoys hanging from a big tree trunk out on the beach, and then there's a sign as you enter the sand dune, having to fight a way through all these wet ferns and grasses, and legs are all saturated. At one stage even thinking of turning back because not hardly a marker, but persevered, and tracks now a bit better defined. This puddle's very deep. When I was crossing it, my right foot went through and my leg was immersed up to the groin. Very hard extracting it. It was all caught in the roots. Just as well my left leg was on firmer ground and I was able to work my way out. Time was 1:23 and I've reached the top of Adams Hill. Boy, what a slog getting up here. So muddy, a bit windy up here. Looking forward to the hut. Last time I checked on the GPS, still 3.4 kilometres to go. Time is 3:55 and at this rather large creek, and there's a rope across it. Not far now to the hut, but water was knee deep. Arrived at Doughboy Hut at 4:20. Starting to feel it in the knees on the last couple of kilometres coming down the hill. When I got to the hut, my clothes under the jacket were a bit damp and the trousers were very muddy from having a couple of times slipped and landed on my backside while coming down the hill. I changed all my clothes into my dry clothes and put on the down jacket, ate some nibbles and chocolate and biscuits, then got into the sleeping bag to warm up. Not long after I arrived at the hut, it started to rain and quite windy. I'm sending a message to Alina at Yankee River Water Taxis. I'm thinking of inquiring about whether there's scheduled services into Freshwater Landing somewhere between Saturday 24 November and Monday 26 November. I wait her reply, and if they're coming in, then I'm thinking of getting a ride back out from Freshwater Landing and perhaps stay at Doughboy even longer. Also sending a message to Sue asking for her to reply with the weather. Rain, showers or fine, out to 27 November. When I get her reply, then I'll use that in deciding just what to do. No solar energy collected today, so I'm having to charge the action camera from the power bank for the first time. 10 to 6 in the morning, and there's absolutely no wind at the moment. Also should get a fair deal of sun during the day if current clear patches in the sky mean anything. I'm very happy, can dry things and charge my batteries, and plenty of photos. Time is 6:45 and the sun's just popped up above the mountains to the east. And with the arrival of the sun, the breeze has started to pick up as well. Sun's bathing the bay in brilliant colours at the moment. Tide's also coming in. The time is 10:30 and been a busy morning for me. First off, I was down at the beach to watch the sun come up above the mountains, and then came back to the hut and put the tent out to dry and also the phone on charge. It was beautiful sun. Not a cloud in the sky, hardly. And also washed my pants and my top, and they're hanging out to dry. Had breakfast, and now the power bank's on charge. The sun's giving about 3.2 watt in the full sun. There was a period where a high white cloud obscured the sun, and it didn't seem the power bank was charging, so must be some sort of minimum power required before it'll charge. So it was just oscillating between trying to charge and then open circuit voltage. But once the cloud cleared and the full sun returned, then it was back to 3.2 watt. So hopefully I'll get the power bank charged, and now I'll go for a wander down the southern end of the beach and then come back, have lunch, and then see what to do. Just received 2 messages from Sue. First, she's asking whether she can phone me. Obviously she can't, no phone signal here. The second message was the weather. She said it was supposed to be wet today on Wednesday, but it's bright sunshine, and tomorrow, Thursday, is supposed to be fine, then increasing amounts of rain right through to 27 November. The time's 11:05 and tide's come in a long way since early this morning. It's a very flat beach, so it goes shallow out there for quite some distance. I'm not going to try it though. Just been taking a few photos and very beautiful. Can't believe the day, perfect. I think I might stay here tomorrow, and then that'll be Thursday, and then leave on Friday, head back to Martins Bay. Still haven't heard back from the water taxi people as to whether they have a boat coming in over the weekend, that maybe they'll get Little Creek coming in, but don't understand why all the logs, driftwood, piled up here. Doesn't seem to be big enough creek to carry all this down. Must have been washed in from the sea, I suppose. Looks like a much bigger creek coming in. Doubt I'll be getting across this one without getting wet. Well, I've waded the creek. It was just on knee deep. Have now come up against quite a wide river inlet. Maybe it's a lagoon, but looks deep, so won't be crossing at this point. Just been filmed some seagulls at the entrance. time is 6:46 and I've just checked on a yellow brick and got message from Raggedy water taxis. It was a very long message, replied from email browser, cost a massive amount of credits, so not what I really wanted, because of too many of those and I'll have no credits. So I sent out another message saying to not use the reply button in the browser, because it sends everything back that I've sent, plus all their headers and footers and whatever other information they've got in their emails. So it would go to several pages, I think, just if it was printed out, of rubbish. Anyway, can't be undone. But so on Saturday the 24th of November, she's got these departures are from Golden Bay, so I guess you had 45 minutes or whatever to get to Freshwater. So the departure from Golden Bay on the 24th is at 1:30 p.m. Then on the 25th of November, it is 2:15 p.m. And on the 26th of November, 4 p.m. So we'll see just when we get to Masons Bay, and then with the afternoon departure, it'd be relatively straightforward to get from Masons Bay to Freshwater and not even have to stay at Freshwater. So if I wanted to get out early. So see what the weather is like tomorrow, and then make a decision as to when we'll leave here. Definitely will be going back via Masons Bay. Making pancakes. The solar panels outside charging the Sony 300 camera was getting about 1.2 watt. It's partial sun at the moment, not as good as yesterday, but should get it charged. And I'll stay again today. I'll send a message through Yellow Brick soon and be returning to Mason Bay tomorrow, which is Friday. just noticed that the fabric on my left shoe, mid-foot, where it joins the sole, is starting to deteriorate, and it's no longer attached to the sole, so not sure now whether my shoes will last the distance, but something don't want to really think about. Well, here I was thinking only a couple of hours ago that maybe we'd had the sun for the day and could be raining by this evening. I did once consider just packing up and heading back to Mason Bay. This would have been around 12:30, but decided I will wait till tomorrow. Been trying to charge solar up with the action camera when it was overcast, but no luck, nor would the power bank charge. But now the time's 3:20 and it's now like reversed, where there's hardly any patches of blue sky at midday. Now there's more blue sky and only little white clouds, cotton wool clouds. So it's much better in the mid-afternoon than it was around lunchtime. And also when I was down on the beach, thought may have felt a few little spots of moisture, so could have been. This is when all the clouds were hanging around the mountains behind me, and also all above the bay was all cloudy. And but only a few little spots, so it wasn't raining by any stretch of. But now I've got the solar panel out. It's charged with the sun coming out. It's charged the Action Camera 300, and now I'm working on charging the power bank. And in the clear sun, I'm getting 3.2 watts. So I thought yesterday was the best day, but this evening, mid-afternoon on the second day's almost as good sunshine as it was yesterday morning, and getting the sandflies too, so won't sit around here too long. It's starting to be a pest. I've wrapped this nylon rope around the shoe, and we'll see tomorrow just how that reinforces the sole from deteriorating any further. So just have dinner this evening, have a nice sleep, and then it's Adams Hill tomorrow morning, and it's the shortest, most direct way to get out of here. Not really that enthusiastic about going through Raggedy and Fred's camp, especially with the shoe being of deteriorating. So we'll just see how we go tomorrow. Once we're on the beach, it'll be fine, and I don't anticipate any problems along the track from Mason's Bay to Freshwater. So it's just getting up over the bogs of Adams Hill that's giving me the most concern, and I think that stems from coming over here when those was very muddy, and once went up to the groin in big, and the 1 foot was on firmer ground. It was in the puddle. It was about knee deep, but then the right foot gave way, and then it went up to about here, and it was hard getting the foot out. Just as well, the span where I was trying to cross wasn't very wide, and I could feel solid ground with my hands, so I was able to support myself with the solid ground and gradually ease the right foot, which when it came up was all covered in roots of all this whatever's growing on the grass, whatever that's growing on in a big puddle, sort of. Must have been at least nearly 2 metres deep in some of these places, I would think. So it's certainly not a place where you want to go in. And there was one other occasion where the foot, again I think was the right foot, went into the mud up to the knee. It's about this height, and I couldn't get it out. But then found by turning 90 degrees, then it came out easily. So just things like that spooking me about Adams Hill. So once that's out of the way, I'll be happy. Sand's a bit soft too in places. It says on the map back at the hut there's quicksand. Well, the time is 5:30, and what more can be said about Doughboy Bay? I'm right at the end of the beach. There's rocks to go beyond here. I'm not going to go any further because the beach is so shallow and the tide will advance very quick if it's coming in. So I'll just take a few more photos out here and then I'll start heading back to the hut. Been a wonderful time at Doughboy Bay. Very happy to have come back here and had such good weather, as I've said before, if I'm not repeating myself. But it's such a wonderful place, one of the nicest places I've been, and thank God for the weather. Well, it's 7:45 and I've just finished dinner. I've just retrieved the Sony 300, which had been out on charge, and it's now fully charged, and it took 1.32 watt hours to get it fully charged. I was intrigued that it was charging with the charge light on. When I turned it on, at 6:57, correction, I first turned it on charging at 6:22 and it was in full sun, and the voltage from the panel was only 3.15 volts and the power 0.36 watt. But the charge light on the Sony Action camera was on. So I left it out there, and when I went to collect it at 7:38 p.m, it was fully charged, and it was 1.32 watt hours of energy since 6:22. Well, I thought I'd add a little bit. When I first arrived, well, it was 2 days ago, and was that we're on the 22nd, so on the 20th of November, I was really stiff, and the bed, sleeping there on the lower bunk in the corner, and it's very low, and for the first day and even yesterday I was having to pull on things to get up off that low bed height, and also hold on to things when stepping down the step at the door to the hut. So it was just stiffness and not in my favour, not as, can't do things as I was when I was younger, of course, but just after the 2 days of just wandering up and down the beach, I'm no longer stiff at all. So if I'm ever to get over Adams Hill, I'm fit now as I was coming over the first time. So that's in my favour. So we'll see how things go tomorrow. Probably do another time lapse down at the beach. So sunset will be in another hour. Well, it's 6:40 and the sun has only come up in the last 15 minutes above the hills over there. It's a bit late getting down to the beach to see it crest the hill, but it's the best day down here of all of them. Absolutely zero cloud and zero breeze. It's a bit cool in the hut, so I put on the down jacket, but as soon as I'm in the sun, can't bear the down jacket, so I've removed it, and just going to be a warm day, I think, and pity you have to leave Doughboy. I don't know. head back to Mason's Bay and then stay another day there, maybe explore the big sand hill, and then head back to Freshwater. So I think that's in my mind. It's low tide and yes, I can't. It's a wonderful place. Well, the time is 8:30 and I've thought why not bring my breakfast down to the beach and enjoy the view. Final breakfast at Doughboy. I'm thinking of leaving probably here maybe 10:30 because once over Adams Hill then it's about a 6 or 7 kilometres walk along the beach. Could do that in the dark if needed. Had 2 days now without rain, so hopefully the track won't be as like a creek that it was coming in here on the 20th. Time is 10:15 and I'm leaving Doughboy. Probably the last time I'll ever be here in my life. Very emotional time. Such a nice place. I've been really fortunate with the weather, but at the other extreme, I guess the weather can be very bad here too, judging by the amount of driftwood that gets deposited right up at the dune line from the big waves coming in from the south. GPS says we've climbed 160 metres and estimated time for arrival at top of Adams Hill is 1 o'clock. It's about just under 2 hours away. Been a steady climb so far, but welcome this levelling off of the track, but it'll be going up again, and it's the last bit where the track was like a creek. It's one that I'm dreading, but this is nice. Climbing this hill's thirsty work. I just checked the GPS, altitude's 267 metres, and our estimated time of arrival at the top has improved. It's now 12:30 and it's 11:20, so that's an hour and 10 minutes. Time is 11:55 and I've reached 365 metres. You can see a little bit of the far end of Doughboy Bay. Vegetation's thinned out a lot now. We're out of the forest and now into the heathy scrub. Progress has been good. Estimated time of arrival at the top is 12:58, so it says another kilometre. Time is 12:25 and altitude's right on 400 metres now, so it must be so close to the top. So beautiful day, still clear sky except some white clouds over Doughboy Hill, but certainly much drier than it was on the 20th. Deep bogs. Having lunch. I don't think it's the official summit of Adams Hill. That's still 700 metres in that direction. But I thought I'd just stop here in the sun and have a bit of lunch. Also, I'd read in the hut book back at the Doughboy Bay that you got phone reception from this hill, but I just got out the phone and switched it on, but it says no network coverage, so maybe I'm on the wrong network, but did try. Nice view of the coastline. That'll be the far end of the island on the northwest circuit. That's the point there where I tried crossing. That's the track where we want to go, and it continues down that way. Not sure if maybe we can get around by sort of like like walking on the vegetation, much easier way of crossing than what I did on the 20th. I was in a bit of a rush because it was very miserable up here, blowing a very strong wind, and it was a bit damp, so I chose the wrong place then. But this time the vegetation held my weight, but there was definitely water, and it was a much easier way of crossing over where those sticks are. That's where I tried crossing on 20th. That's sort of solid, where just before that thicker stick in the distance, and that's what I was able to grab onto to help get my right leg out. Try and get it out. Yeah, it comes up with roots, so a lot of roots down there. See how deep some of the mud is. Time's 10 to 4, and I think I'll stop and have a rest. Starting to feel a bit weary in the knees, all the up and down and the bog. Yes, so it's about, last time I checked about 5 minutes ago, was 2.38 kilometres still to the beach. Time is 5 o'clock and reached the sand dunes. You can see the sea now. Not far to go to the beach, but this is where navigation gets a bit difficult because it's very overgrown. No marking that I can see. Knees were starting to feel their presence in the last hour and a half or so. Or lifting feet out of mud and over things and roots, and very trying. Fed up with this bashing way through the undergrowth, but almost finished. Time is 5 to 6 and finally on the beach. Well, I think I'll have a rest and have a couple of biscuits to eat, and still got a bit of a slog to reach the Mason's Bay hut, which is about 6 kilometres down the beach that way, so won't be there anytime soon. But it'll be easy going along the beach, so can't ask for a better day. Sea's so flat compared to what it was like on the 20th, where the wind was blowing sheets of spray off the breaking waves, and yes, and my knees are feeling their age, so but I've made it, and that's a good thing, and just plain sailing now back to the hut. Time is 7:25 and I've reached Duck Creek, which is where head inland to the hut. Time is 5 to 8 and just arrived at Martins Bay Hut. By judging from the washing, looks like there's a number of people staying here. Well, it's Saturday, 24th of November, and it's about 9:20. The crowd has dispersed. I don't know how many there were here, maybe 10 perhaps. Two groups were heading to Doughboy. One, I think they left about 6 a.m. or something. Soon they were going to go down to the gutter and then over Adams Hill to Doughboy. And then there was another young couple. They only left about 3/4 an hour ago. So it was just me, and I think there's 2 others asleep in the bedroom down there. So I've just arranged through my trusty yellow brick to be picked up from Freshwater Landing on 26th of November. That's a Monday, and the pickup time is 16:45. Very useful device for changing things on the fly. I did consider going from Freshwater Landing via North Arm Hut to Oban. That would probably take me 2 days, and I'm told the track between Freshwater and North Arm is quite muddy and very steep in places, so I'll pay the $60 and get the water taxi. They said the views were good, but not sure about the weather. It's cloudy out that way. Earlier on, towards the south, that's Doughboy Way, there was blue sky this morning, but even there it's less blue sky and more cloud now. So the other thing is that the wind has picked up too. I'd call it a strong breeze, but probably might even be stronger than that once out on the beach. But surrounded by the trees here, you can see things blowing around, and there's all these trees around the hut, so a bit protected so I don't get the full force of the wind at the hut here by any means. Food wise, everything's I'm quite in abundance, so I've got plenty of fruit and nut. I've got several days worth of freeze dried. I didn't even have the freeze dried last night, just chose to make a pancake and had the soup. Got I don't know, I haven't counted them, but I got a reasonable several days worth, maybe 4 days with rationing supply of the Anzac biscuits, and thing that probably a bit running short of, that will run out first, will be the powdered milk. I had about 1.25 litres of, I've got a 1 litre Nalgene bottle with my milk, and then I had a bit of surplus which I was carrying in the pack. I've now consolidated the pack into the bottle as it's been consumed, and now it's currently just under 50%. So yeah, I use the milk for the pancakes and the porridge, and so it'll get me back to Oban on Monday. So just something to think about if for the second phase of the trip, that it'd be longer period on the trail, so whether need more, I think it was I had the small size packet, not sure offhand what the size was. It wasn't the kilo pack, maybe it was half kilo or something. That was the milk that I got back in Invercargill. Now I've got chocolate's been steadily consumed, but still got several days' worth with rationing there. So it's not very demanding walk to get from here to Freshwater, so probably eat less. I don't eat so much out in the bush, eat far more at home in Canberra than out here in the bush doing all this activity. And whatever thing we got, pancake mixes plenty. Yes, we had a kilo of cheese, and we've now got half that quantity left. The peanut butter and honey hardly been touched. I'd say the peanut butter's probably about 75% of the 500 gram jar, and the honey's probably about 3/4 as well. I think it's about 500 grams too, but only just not precise figures. I just use little bits. I put the peanut butter and the honey on the pancakes, and that's been about it. A bit of the honey goes into the porridge, just a little squirt. So haven't been using them heavily. So I'll probably go down to the beach. One of the couples that just left said they saw a leopard seal on the beach yesterday, and they saw kiwis last night. Apparently there's one on the bridge just near the hut there. So it's going to be a quiet day today, and then probably a quiet day tomorrow. Might go up Rocky Mountain if the weather is nice on a Monday, because it's a late afternoon pickup, so I've got time to do something around Freshwater on the Monday. So just going to be a quiet next couple of days, and got the backcountry pass, so accommodation covered out here in the backcountry. I got the food to survive out here. If I go back to Oban, then start spending money, although money's not really that important. But it'll cost $20 a night to stay at the Stewart Island backpacking, and that's in the tent. So why not just stay here and give some business to the water taxi people to pick me up on the Monday. I should add the first question I asked some of the recent arrivals yesterday, because the dock guy was here yesterday too. He had with his hunting rifle, and he was doing some organising, because one of the parties yesterday were having some food flown in, but then the original flight got cancelled, so the dock guy, through his radio communications, informed this couple that were heading out to the Doughboy via the gutter that the new arrival time for their food package. And so asked the weather, and today was supposed to be fine. That's being Saturday. Sunday was supposed to be showers, and Monday was fine. And that's the shipping forecast for New Zealand. So that's the official weather. Weather will turn out like that. while I was sitting on the hill, a hunter who also is from Australia and staying at the nearby hunters camp saw me and came over and we had a chat. He'd been walking down the beach looking for sperm whale vomit. It's really light and floats in water and can be found at the high tide mark. Must be very rare because he says that a piece the size of a potato would be worth $8,000. He didn't find any, but he did find a fishing rod on the beach and he brought that back with him. He'd been here I think a week and is flying out tomorrow and had shot about 5 deer. He says the best place for shooting deer is in the sand hills, especially where there's lupins around, because the deer come because lupins is a legume and nitrogen into the soil, the sand, and there's grass. It's 7 AM on 25th of November, it's Sunday. Just got up and a bit overcast, with dry, bit cool breeze. Still think it's coming from the east, southeast, hard to say. Rain is supposed to be forecast. Time is 11:05 and I'm leaving Martins Bay to return to Freshwater. I think I'll have a look at the hunters camp on the way past. Arriving at Martins Bay Homestead, I noticed a crowd of people on the veranda and the dock guy came over and said that a helicopter was just coming in, that 200 whales beached on the sand near Kilbride. On the track is much drier and easy to walk over now. We've had no rain for about 4 days. According to the GPS, it's 3.3 kilometres direct distance now to Freshwater. Should be there in about an hour, maybe less. Cloud is starting to clear away and getting some nice sunshine. Time is 16:40 and I've arrived at Freshwater Hut. Time is 10:15 and a second, much smaller deer has turned up and is grazing outside the hut over near the path to the toilet. Well, the time's 7:30 and I'm having my coffee and rolled oats. One important piece of news has come through because my trip's been sort of turned around. I've been communicating with Alina at the Yankee River water taxis through the yellow brick, and she's told me what days they had services coming into Freshwater Landing, and then I've decided that I'll go on the Monday service. There's no service tomorrow on Tuesday, so if I were to go out on Tuesday, then I'd have to pay $120 instead of $60 for today. So what the important piece of news that's come in is that I asked Alina to confirm that I'm booked on to this evening's, it's at 4:45 this evening, boat that's going to be coming in. And I believe my detective work is that they'll be taking out those guided walkers that I met yesterday. So they would have come in on the boat, and then according to the brochure for Raggedy Range Company, they walk over to Mason Bay, stay the night, and then seems to have got the option that you can fly out of Mason Bay or return back to Freshwater for the boat. The fly out option being about $200 more expensive than the boat both ways option, so I got no idea what their plan for those guided walkers is, but would be reasonable to expect that some of them may be turning back at Freshwater this evening to catch that water taxi. So that's the reason why the water taxi will be coming in here this evening. Anyway, that's all my analysis of the situation. It may be right, may be wrong, I don't know. But the message came through and I'm booked onto that boat, and I don't have to contemplate going out via North Arm, and there'll be another day and 3/4 walking just to get back to Oban from here. Although, you know, young, fit, fast people could probably do it in a long day, but I'm feeling a bit stiff. I don't know, well, that's age, I don't know. But I just get to have a rest today, and might go up Rocky Mountain a bit later, I don't know. It's overcast outside, a bit breezy. So that's about it. Just say a little bit about the yellow brick. It's a satellite communicator through messages via Iridium network. I can tap out messages using the little button here in the menu, but they only go to the recipients that I've got set up on my contact list in my Yellow Brick account. There can be emails or mobile phone numbers. And the keyboard thing, the limits the amount of message that you can send. Like it's quite time consuming to move the cursor around all the characters in the keyboard using the left, right, up, down button, and then after you get to the end it just stops accepting characters and it just truncates it. Something like that anyway, or you could keep going for your heart's consent, but it'll stop accepting it after I don't know, a couple of lines. So the other alternative is to use mobile phone, and then an app on the phone for the Yellow Brick, and you can use the contact list in the phone and use the you got a little not sure where it's gone, was here, little thing for pushing the keys. Yeah, somewhere was here earlier. So you have the whole keyboard displayed on the phone, and then you just press each key, so it's much faster to enter the message, and there's no limit as to how long it can be. Although you still get charged 1 credit point for every 50 characters. But I think the Yellow Brick has been designed for, say, on a boat where you may have several members of the crew with their phones, each with their own app, all using the one communication channel for sending messages. So any message sent to my app will only be displayed on my phone. So it just dawned on me this trip that the phone is very important, because if something were to happen to the phone, then any messages sent to me I would not be able to receive, or actually probably receive them, but wouldn't be able to read them. So I've been treating the phone with great respect and keeping it stored safely away in the backpack, and so the screen doesn't get damaged or some other thing might befall it. A lot of things can happen out here, and then not much you can do about it once they do happen. But I've been keeping the phone very safe and not using it for taking photos. That would expose it to some sort of danger for having dropped or something, or having the screen cracked and then it becomes inoperable. So phone is treated with great respect. So, but the other thing that had been talking with Alina at the Raggedy water taxi people, and first message she sent, I think she must have replied to my email from her browser, and then that's a very the big no. I think each message the Yellow Brick people append their scree at the bottom of it, warning the recipient that not to consider what they send back, because it all gets charged both ways. But Alina's first message to me was some sort of like their email contract that, I think if you printed that on A4 paper, it must run to 2 pages, and it took over 40 minutes just to transmit the thing. And this was out at Doughboy Bay. And with the yellow brick, you're never really sure just how many credits you got, but when you do receive a message, you get a number displayed on your phone here, which may gives some sort of ballpark level of your credit balance. And suddenly my credit balance, which had been over 500, was now in the low 400s. So I'd lost that's like 20% of my credits in just one message. So wouldn't have to have too many messages like that from Alina, and I'd end up with no credits. And then I'm not sure, you probably won't be able to send any messages or receive them. But I did set up for the first time this trip, but I've never really had an experience using it as an automatic credit top-up. So if my credit balance drops to 50, then what they'll charge to my bank card for another 200 credits. So I've never tested that but you're just relying that that'll work, or maybe there could be some hitch, and then but I just don't have any experience, so there's no one out here to complain to if it don't work, or I've set something up wrong, done something wrong in setting it up, so just don't know. So best not to be thrown in the deep end, and just see how it does work or it doesn't work in my circumstances. So I sent out a message to everyone in my contact list, pleading with them not to use the browser to reply, because even if they don't have great big headers and footers on their emails, and we will return back the message that I sent out that they're replying to. So it really is a quick way to waste credits. So if you follow the yellow brick instructions that come with each message, you should click on a link which will take you to a web page, and then you fill your reply into the web page box, and then I'll receive only what you've put in that box. But it doesn't seem most people bother to read that part of a message, and surprising just how many people do just reply with their Gmail browser or whatever, and then you'd get the whole scree of what you sent, and then what they have as footers and headers and whatever, and all the other attachments that they decide to put in their emails, and it really does add up. And in this case, with this from Alina, would have been close to 100 credit points, and that's 10 pence per credit point. That's £10, $20, just to find out what dates that they had services coming into Freshwater Landing over this weekend and Monday. And then she sent the same message again twice, but then the second time she omitted all the paraphernalia that went on at the end about their terms and conditions and all that sort of stuff. So I got the same thing twice. The first one had the full Monty of information that I already knew, and then the second one was just an abbreviated version of the first one. So it really chewed up the credits, and so but last time I checked, I think I've probably got about 340 left now or something like that, so that's probably enough to get me through. Yeah. I'll just keep sending my messages each day. So, well, that's about it for what I can say about the yellow brick. You know, it's invaluable for, well, maintaining communication and organising trips or whatever. You know, when you're out in the wilderness. Oh, just another thing. You know, while we're out at Mason Bay, there were these 4 hunters, and they were flying out, and their plane was cancelled, and then one of them was. I'd been speaking to one of them the day before down at the beach, and he's the guy that found the fishing rod, and he was from Australia too, and he was chatting a little bit, and I told him about my satellite communicator. And then when I got up to the Homestead hut where the doc guy lives, then you know, they seemed to have a bit of a problem because their plane that was due to pick them up at 10:30 had cancelled because of the cloud over the mountains between Oban and Mason Bay, and then they were stuck. And then I think one of them, Richard, wanted his wife or something, or he wanted to send a message to his partner to say that he was being delayed. You know, she'd be very concerned if he didn't turn up at the appointed time, and so I was able to send message through the yellow brick to advise Alicia that Richard had been delayed at Mason Bay and would be flying out if a plane could land on the Monday. You know, so that's where it comes in useful. Okay, I'll shut up now and then make my pancake. I'll say something about the electronic equipment that I've brought with me to Stewart Island. As you know, I like to make videos of my trips, and that'd be one of my main purposes for coming to Stewart Island. Wanted to make a better quality video than what was possible when we were here in 2014. Got a better camera now. It's a Sony action camera, and I can't show it on screen at the moment because it's filming me, but it's a Sony action camera 300, and it's shooting 50 megahertz, 50 frames a second, 1080 video, so it's good quality. And I've also got this Sony action camera 200. Hasn't been used that much, but I don't know really why I bought it. But if you wanted to do a time lapse and then film something else at the same time, then it could be useful. So that's why it's here. It's only shooting 25 frames a second, and it's about 24 megahertz MP4 format. And I've got an external charger here with a spare Sony battery in it, another spare Sony battery, and I've got my phone. We've talked about the phone and its importance for talking for yellow brick. Turn the flashlight off before we flatten the battery. And I've got a power bank here, which I'll talk about it soon. It's powering my light, just to light up my face a little bit. It's a bit gloomy outside, but not raining. And to keep it all going, we've got this solar panel, 6.5 watt. It's quite light, not that heavy. And I've got a power monitor. I made it from a kit I bought at JCar in Canberra. It's quite useful, gives you voltage, current, power and energy. And then there's the yellow brick. It's quite big and bulky, but the reason it's big and bulky is it's got big battery capacity. So I could go use this for months every day, and a couple of months at least, and wouldn't even go 50% capacity. So you don't really have to charge this at all, really. But and I got some cables. I got cables. The one, everything except the yellow brick all uses the same cable type. The yellow bricks are the exception. Just check the phone's batteries off. A flashlight. And we're still recording. Yes, still recording. Okay, so the solar panel is essential for topping up different devices, and so that's what I'll concentrate on in this message, is that I've been doing some experiments and recording them in my notebook here as to how things perform out on the track in New Zealand. Now, so bear in mind, here in Stewart Island, we're well to the south of Tasmania in latitude, and my most experience with a solar panel has been in Canberra. So first thing I can say is that at these latitudes, things behave differently than what they do in Canberra. So if I were to rank the devices, different devices have their own characteristics determined by the manufacturer. So I would say the phone and the power bank require a minimum amount of power just to even charge. So if that power's not there, and that requires the sun, the intensity, then they'll do nothing. Sometimes even the power monitor won't even display. You don't get enough voltage from the panel to even operate the electronics in this power monitor. It, from experience, needs 2 volts to get a display, and sometimes I haven't even had a display on the... And the power bank and the phone would require at least 4.5 volts just to even charge, and then that they need a certain amount of current, i.e. power. So I found the phone and the power bank will only charge on the bright sunlight days. And the most power I've got from the panel has been about 3.2 watt. In Canberra, it would do better than that. But Canberra's a lot closer to the equator than we are here at Stewart Island. So, but we've had good weather out at Martins Bay and Doughboy Bay, and I was not moving, so I could have the solar panel out in the sun the whole time. So on this trip, I've only ever had to use the power bank to charge the camera once, and that was on the day I walked from Kilbride to Doughboy. So it was dull, windy, and I was moving through the bush, so no chance to charge anything. And then arrived Doughboy, it's dull, and it was cold, so So no charging of anything on solar on that day. Every other day I've been out in the back country, I've had some sun, at least part-time during the day or even full day. So I've been able to charge devices up direct from the sun. And there's been enough power to charge the phone, so the phone's always near 100%, and if it's not, then I'll put it out in the sun and charge it without, and I haven't had to use the power bank, because the phone will drain the power bank if you have to charge it from the power bank. So its phone, compared to the action camera, requires a lot more power. I'd say at least double the energy to charge the phone from flat than it is to charge the action camera. But the thing that's new to me that I've hadn't seen before is that these action cameras, they charge in duller light that the phone or the power bank won't even charge at all. So I've been able to charge the action cameras when the panel voltage is shade over 3 volt. I didn't know that, and because I thought, the voltage of a battery, I don't know really what it is, but I need my glasses on to see. I think it's saying battery's only 3 volt to begin with. 3.6 volt it says, but it's charging with the panel voltage being 3 volt, and I was getting power of 0.1 of a watt. And obviously with those parameters it's going to take a long time to charge, but it was charging. It appeared, the charge light was on, and so that was been the new thing that I've learnt, because normally I thought the action camera needed over 4 volts, but it's easy to get 4 volts from the panel in Canberra, not so easy here on Stewart Island. The other camera I use is the Fujifilm. It just uses the AA cells, and there's 4 of them, so that doesn't need solar at all. So if we had rain for a week and I couldn't charge anything and the power bank went flat, then I could still use the Fujifilm to take still shots if I so desired. So that's about all I can think of saying. I have charged the yellow brick. It's a slow charger. These phone and the power bank like to charge fast. I guess that's hence the minimum power requirement, whereas the yellow brick, I have charged it up to 100% a couple of times, but I didn't really need to. It was only being charged up from 93%. But I'd had everything else charged, and so I had the cable. Why not put the yellow brick on and bring it back to 100? So that's what I was doing out at the beaches. Never really used this. Don't even want the external charger. So haven't got really anything to comment about that. But it's had been some funny behaviour from times I've used it in Australia, but can't really comment how it's behaved here because I never used it. But that's about what I can say about my electronic equipment. I should have some good video from all this, and keep me busy for some months afterwards just to put it all together. And I've been able to power it all direct from the sun without requiring a power bank. Now, if it had been cloudy for the week, then that would be a different story, and I would have had to use the power bank the whole time to charge these things, and then that would drain that. And it's only a small one. That's what I found in Scotland in 2016, that I always had to keep heading towards somewhere where they had AC power, because I wasn't getting the solar energy to charge things properly, and the phone and the camera were draining was a bigger Xiaomi power bank then, but so I gambled and took the smaller, lighter weight one, and so far it's paid off. Well, the next thing I'll talk about is my cooking setup, and I'm being very impressed with this setup. Normally I use methylated spirits, and I've got the Caldera cone, but I bought this Primus remote burner in Scotland in 2016. I don't believe it's available in Australia, but I picked it up in Glasgow and I've been very impressed with it. It's got very good valve control, can set really low flame. So that's the thing I like, and I've been using it in conjunction with my Trek, Snow Peak Trek 700, a 700 millilitre pot, and it's got its lid, and it's got a jet boil pot cosy around it. So that's what I've been using for cooking, and the pot cosy, I've been using the method. If I was doing reconstituting the freeze dried, I would boil up the right amount of water, which is about 250 mils, because I'm been using half of a two-person server for backcountry meals each evening that I've had them. And then once the water's boiling, I put in the contents, the dry ingredients, and then put the lid on, put the pot cosy on, and just turn the gas off and just leave it to stand. Let it stand for 15-20 minutes, stays warm, and then after that time's expired, take the lid off and then eat. So it's very economical on the gas. I've always got the gas flame on low, and that's do that same method with the porridge, and then the other thing I use the gas for is making a cup of coffee in the morning. So the final thing that I and ahed about bringing to New Zealand was my frying pan. Normally I would have a plastic plate, but now the frying pan has been doubling as my plate and a frying pan. It's a Trangia frying pan. It's got Teflon coating. So back in 2014 on Stewart Island, I was using my Optimus Mepho stove with Primus burner, gas burner in it. Sort of similar to Trangia thing, but it was made by Optimus, and I've had it a long time. But it is just plain aluminium, and did try making pancakes on that occasion, and they were, to be honest, a complete failure, because the ingredients would stick to the frying pan, which is the lid of the cook set, and you couldn't turn it, and yeah, it was a complete failure. So, but for making pancakes, this non-stick frying pan is ideal, and also being able to set the low flame on the burner also improves the ease for making pancakes without having them burn or stick. Well, they're not going to stick to this surface, but that's yeah. So that's what I'm really impressed with, is the low flame output of this stove, and the pancakes on this non-stick frying pan. But this comes at a penalty, is that it's heavier than a plastic plate. But with a plastic plate, you can't make pancakes. You can't put it on the flame, otherwise you'll melt it. So that's. And my final thing is my Snow Peak, double-walled titanium cup. So when I have soup, I just put in the cup and it stays warm. Even so, the soup is the same method. You boil the water, put in the dry ingredients, cosy, stand, and then drink in the cup. So the coffee stays warm in that for quite some time. So it's a little bit heavier than a single wall cup, but it's only 250ml cup. It's not a massive big cup. So I'm happy with that, and so that's my cooking setup, and I'm being very impressed with. Well, the final thing I wanted to talk about is footwear. So back in 2016, I did the Cape Wrath trip in Scotland, and had my Merrill hiking boots fall apart within the first couple of days. By the time I got to Ullapool, they were pretty useless. So in Ullapool, I bought a pair of Mindel boots, which cost £200. So it was a bit of a hit on the bank balance. But my Merrill boots wouldn't have gone much further, so I had to buy them. So in 2014, I bought these Kathmandu boots. They were on clearance sale in Canberra outlet store, and they were only $50. And I think we're in New Zealand on the track 2 weeks, and then the stitching on the upper was starting to come apart, and so I knew the potential for mud and dampness here in New Zealand, not good on footwear, and didn't really want to bring the Mindel boots to wreck them over here in New Zealand. So I thought, well, when you have to wade through ankle deep water, it's not really going to matter. Your feet are not going to stay dry. If you've got Mindel boots or you got trail runners. So I opted to try the trail runners. So this is them here. They from Aldi, and they only cost about $39. And I've had them a couple of years, but haven't really used them that much. But they've had a bit of a problem here in New Zealand. I've spoken before about how at Doughboy I noticed that the left shoe is starting to split. So the upper's separating from the sole in this region, and on this side. Hence I found this twine nylon rope at Doughboy Hut, and I've wrapped it around and through the lacing, and then I've put some elastoplast surgical tape to stop the fraying, the spreading, to keep the rope all in nice bundle. And so that seems to have been an effective solution for stopping the boots deteriorating further. So yeah, with the right foot, it's all intact. So I don't really understand. It hasn't deteriorated at all from the conditions. It's just that this left boot has been the one that has deteriorated. So maybe it was some sort of defect, or not so well put together at manufacture. I don't know, but that's the way it's turned out. So I'm not sure. I think I'll just persevere with these boots for the rest of my time here in New Zealand, and at the end of my time probably ditch them and get a new pair of runners, cheap ones, just to wear back to Australia on the plane. I don't know what reaction you'll get turning up with these at the airport, or turning up in Australia with the quarantine, wanting to look at your footwear, and I'll see these things. So probably best to just to present yourself at the the border with a attire that will give you the least amount of hassles upon encountering the bureaucracy. Yeah, so that's about it. Or well, I could just say that I had these brand new Quagmire Cedar Summit gaiters. First time ever used has been here on Stewart Island, and then on the second day of use, the stud which fastens it at the down at the boot, it's got the Velcro wraps around and on the front from top to bottom, and then you've got a stud that right down at the foot that suppose it's supposed to hold it in place. Well, on the one of them, I couldn't undo the stud, and when I did apply a bit of force, it just pulled the stud right out of the fabric. So I got the docket back in Canberra, so I'll be returning back to Paddy Palin and giving them a word about the durability of their Cedar Summit gaiters, and so it should be covered under warranty, I would think. So, but been just relying on the Velcro fastening on one gaiter and the Velcro plus stud on the other gaiter. That's been about it. Well, there's a bit of excitement for this morning. After passing the Rocky Mountain turn-off, I proceeded about 30 more metres up the track towards North Farm and heard this noise, and lo and behold, coming towards me is a Kiwi, and it didn't really know what to do, kept coming towards me, so I eventually tried to get out the Fuji film and turned it on and got two rather poor pictures of it. Then it must have sensed my presence and then took off into the bush and then back up the track, and I slowly followed it, and then it's turned around coming back towards me. This time I've got the Sony camera out, and it came right up to about a metre, maybe slightly less than a metre away from me, before it just crossed the path in front of me with the camera rolling the whole time, and then went off into the bush beside me and then disappeared. So these unexpected things happen, and you never really know. Time is 12:18 and just sitting outside the hut. Just had lunch, finished off a little bit of chocolate I had left and the Anzac biscuits, and had a couple of wheat bix which the hunters gave me back at Mason Bay. So I'll top it off with a cup of coffee. Very excited, having seen the two Kiwi just before lunch. So the two things on my bucket list for Stewart Island, the white-tailed deer and the Kiwi, I've knocked off all in the one morning. First Kiwi I heard coming, but wasn't prepared to, and got the two poor photos on the Fuji film, but then it disappeared back up the track, and I got out the Sony action camera and the Kiwi came back towards me again, and this time I stood still filming, and it came right up to within a metre of me before it went off the track into the ferns beside the track. So it was a very close encounter with the Kiwi, and all recorded on video. The second Kiwi, I was more intent in finding my path through this muddy patch, and then I heard noise. The Kiwi was already moving into the bush, so no way could I ever get anything out to film that one, because it disappeared so quick. But that's, Kiwis are out of the way and the deer's out of the way, so seen the crab, and thinking of going back out to Kilbride. I'll check with Raggedy Water Taxi if they've got any services scheduled for during the week, and I might even be coming back to Freshwater Landing, and then if that's the case, then could do the northwest circuit in the clockwise direction. So we'll find out when we see the Alina at the office there as to what their schedule is for this week. Maybe even if I had to pay the $120 just for a special trip, you know, just to go out there just to see all the beached whales, and what a tragedy it was. Yeah, we've got to tell them we're heading very I've stocked up my food supply with these purchases from the Foursquare supermarket. It's a much more expensive place to shop than the supermarkets in Invercargill. The time is 11:10 and made a few decisions this morning after packing up the tent and leaving the backpackers. I went to the water taxi office, and they got a boat leaving this evening at 4:15 to go back to Freshwater. So I've paid the $60, and that's what I'll be doing. And once get to Freshwater, head over to Mason Bay, and then tomorrow go down to the whale site at Kilbride, and I'll be doing the northwest circuit in the clockwise direction, which was the opposite to what I originally planned, but we've still got this onshore wind coming from the east, and according to the locals it's a very rare occurrence. They've never had it so prolonged, and it's been really pretty horrible weather here in Oban for the past 4 or 5 days. The ferry got damaged by being bashed against the wharf by the waves, and there's 2 ferries, so one of them's damaged, and it's caused some of the services to be cancelled. It was really quite crowded yesterday in the common room at the backpackers, much more so than when I was there a week earlier. But on the other side of the island you'll be sheltered a lot from the wind, so it should be quite nice. So that's the rationale behind my thinking. Then after the water taxi office I went to see the cafe next door and had coffee and sausage roll. Coffee, I had large coffee cappuccino. It was $7, but and the sausage roll was $9, but very nice, and was nice coffee. And was chatting to the lady proprietor at the cafe, and she was telling me the last 2 summers in Stewart Island they've been very hot. The whole summer was over 30 degrees, and the forest all dried, the birds were dying, and they having to import water from the mainland. Well, not enough water here in the village for people to. The people who own the accommodation had to. The people were paying $300 a night to stay. Were having to import water, $1,000 a time to come across from the mainland. So this has been the last 2 summers, and it's been unheard of to have 30 degrees Celsius for so long in Stewart Island. They've even had well, there goes my map, better go rescue it. Yeah, she's a PhD in geography, so we were chatting about coronal flux ejections from the sun, and the magnetosphere, and the magnetic influence from the sun is getting much weaker, and there's going to be world famine, and because the agriculture won't be able to sustain the current population. I had an interesting talk for 3/4 an hour, I think. What she was saying sort of tallies with what Lyndon LaRouche and the Citizen Electoral Council people say too. Then a crowd of people came into the cafe, so I've come back down to the waterfront. So we've still got about, where are we, 5 hours to before we have to get to the ferry over at Golden Bay. But if it weren't for this wind I wouldn't need the jacket, but starting to feel a bit cold just with the shirt, so just to sit here in the wind. It was nice in the cafe, but they had about 20 odd people come in, so I left the cafe so they could have somewhere to sit. So that's about it. Time is 3:40 p.m. and I'm down at Golden Bay Wharf, waiting for the water taxi, which is scheduled to leave at 4:15. Beautiful sunny day. Bit of a breeze here, but sunshine with the breeze a little bit cool. Time's 4:30 and the boat's stopping to pick up two people from the beach at North Arm Hut. Arrived at Freshwater Landing at 17:10. I'm averaging 5.1 kilometres an hour and GPS says estimated time of arrival at Mason Bay is 8 o'clock. Track's much drier than it was even 2 days ago. Another 30 minutes to reach the hut. Starting to feel a bit weary. Time is 8:10 and just arrived at Mason Bay Hut. I am heading down the beach back to Kilbride to see the whale beaching site. Going to be a very traumatic experience to see all the whales lined up along the beach. Planes can land and take off from the beach at Mason Bay, and for that matter Doughboy, at low tide. They bring people in to Mason Bay and they can walk across to Freshwater Landing and catch the boat out. It's called an experience trek. Of course it can be done in the reverse direction as well. Time is 11:08 and I've just reached the first of the whale beaching sites. It's about 800 metres up towards Mason Bay Hut from the Kilbride. Time is 10:16 and leaving Mason Bay, and we're heading north up the coast. So I've got a fair bit of beach walking ahead of me. Reason leaving it so late is waiting for low tide to get around some rocky outcrop at the far end of the beach. Also been some very nice people from Kiwis, and then the young couple from Britain with a 4-year-old child. So it's been a good social experience at the hut. And now back to being on my own. Time is 11:50 and leaving the beach and heading up on the track over the headland. The time is 14:45 and I've just arrived at Little Hellfire Beach, thinking hard of camping here and having a swim. This looks nice. Bit of cloud building up to the north, but to the south and west it's clear. There's this brand new hunters camp at Little Hellfire Beach, only built in November 2018, and according to the logbook the only entry is from the building crew which did the construction, so I must be the first occupant of this hut. Few spots of rain starting to fall where I am near the hut. I'm waiting for the sun to set, and it might be a good sunset. Looks some clear sky out to the west. Time is 8 AM and leaving the hut for Big Hellfire. Look at all the midges. Horrible. Looks like we go up there. Looks like a bit of hard work scrambling up the sand. Getting closer to the range that we have to cross. Hellfire Hut is on the other side. At the point where the track crosses the ridge line, it's about 400 metres altitude. Time is 12:21 and I'm finally at Big Hellfire Hut. I think I'll stay here tonight. Time is 7 AM and it's the 1st of December. Little bit of light rain started early morning and continues, a bit misty. Weather station saying air pressure 985 millibar, humidity 74% and temperature 15 Celsius. Time is 8 AM and I'm all packed up now and about to leave Hellfire Hut. The two Kiwi girls have left about half an hour ago. They're here. Hellfire Hut is on top of a big sand hill. Time is 10:26 and I've arrived at Waituna Beach. Don't stay on the beach very long, then it's straight up over that mountain range. East Raggedy Beach. Time is 3 o'clock and I'm at West Raggedy Beach. Very nice sandy beach. Got to go down to the far end and find the track back in the bush. Just finding where the track goes. I can't see any markers. Just doing my hardest observation to look for the footprints of the people who had come down earlier. Finally, I can see two markers at the top of the sand dune, so that's a big relief. Anyway, it's not far now to East Raggedy Hut. I think last time I checked, nearer the beach it was 1.6 kilometres. Well, coming up that sand dune was certainly hard work. Certainly got my work out sliding down and using both poles to gain extra traction and then take a step up and slide back half, hard on the knees, but looks like I'm almost at the top, so that's a big relief. Keep going. Well, it's off the sand and onto the grass. Nothing could make me feel happier. Should be easier going there. Fingers crossed. Less than 600 metres now to the hut. GPS should be there about 4:45. Well, 5 hours to Long Harry. That's tomorrow. The first part of the walk is down to East Raggedy Beach and out in the sun. Doing a bit more work on this right shoe. Don't know how long this thin string's going to last, but see how it goes. I just added a bit of surgical tape to stop it moving. While I'm stopped working on my shoe, I just get out the phone and check it again. It's now charging much better. The voltage is 4.92 volt. Power 2.2 watt. So that's promising now. So happy. Tide's coming in. Briefly tried charging the power bank, but again the lead pattern is wrong and the power is fluctuating from very low up to 0.4 watt. So these phone and the power bank difficult to charge. Well, words can't describe East Raggedy Beach here today. Beautiful sunshine. Haven't come very far from the hut. I think it's only about 1.3 kilometres behind me. But thought I'd charge the phone. I think it was down to about 79%. And now charging the power bank. So I'll be packing up soon and continuing on to Long Harry Hut. It's only 5 hours according to Doc from East Raggedy Hut to Long Harry, so can afford to spend a bit of time here and enjoy the scenery and the solitude. Tide's just going out. I think the wonderful sand dunes. It's a perfect place, and the little island that's off the point there, so rugged. You can see why it's called East Raggedy. Perfect place, perfect weather, couldn't be happier. Time is 1:05 and just heading off now to Long Harry. Got across East Raggedy stream, but doesn't look that big an obstacle. Let's go. Bit of quicksand. Ooh, look at that. Well, it's me again, and I've jerry-rigged the walking pole from a tree so we can get my picture with the backdrop of East Raggedy Beach. So wonderful. I can't really describe just how happy I am to be here and to experience it, and been such a perfect day. When we were last here in 2014, it was a bit windy and miserable. So today is perfect. And I'll stay here a little while and admire the view and then continue on. I don't think it's all that far now to Long Harry. I've got to go down to the beach level, and then there's a little bit where I got to go along a big rocky beach, not that far, and people say it's about half an hour, maybe less, but tide's down, so there'd be no problem there. Rocky beach, don't have to go along the rocky beach for a while now. Time is 16:44 and hallelujah, I've reached the end of the rocky beach, and for the last 20 minutes I've been scouring, looking for exit markers. Whenever there's a creek, it means steep descent down into the gully, then a steep ascent to get up the other side. Got to clamber up this, been very tiring. Be glad when I get to the hut. Coming down slopes like that and then have to go up the other side. Here's another one. This is a sort of slope you have to climb down. 4 big trees blocking the path, nothing to climb up around them. Time is 5 to 8 and finally looking down on Long Harry Hut. Only, 50 metres to go now. Be glad once I'm there. Well, it's 7:55 a.m. on Monday 3rd of December, and this is Long Harry Hut. Last night there was a New Zealand mother with her teenage daughter here in residence. They have left. They're heading towards East Raggedy and want to get to that bouldery beach before high tide, so make crossing it easier. So it's just me alone now. Also last night there was a big thunderstorm and some heavy rain for a while, but now it's fine with high level overcast cloud. Rain's supposed to be forecast starting today, which according to Sue's message that she sent would be 3 millimetres, with most rain tomorrow 15 and further 10 millimetres on Wednesday. My destination today is Yankee River Hut, which is only 4.5 hours away, so they say it's pretty easy going. Probably one of the easier days. They also warned me that someone had smashed the window in the door at the Yankee River Hut, claiming that they couldn't open the door and needed to smash the window to gain access to the hut. Seems like an open invitation to the admission of sandflies, which here at Long Harry last night in the evening were very numerous. This New Zealand pair tried doing their best to seal the hole in the door with plastic to keep the sandflies out. So hope that doesn't ruin my experience at Yankee River this evening. I'll be leaving here probably around 9:30. Take my time to get there. We got to cross a beach, smoky beach. Other than that, I don't think there's. I think it's track's pretty level for most of the way. I think there's one big hill, they said, that you have to go over before you get to Yankee River Hut. So that's about it. I'll tidy up the hut and pack up and then get ready to leave around 9:30. Time is 9:05 and leaving Long Harry Hut. Harry. Time is 11 o'clock and have arrived at Smoky Beach. little bit deep at that point, so I'll try a bit closer to the sea. That was knee deep there, so obviously much better choice second time round. But this sandbank I'm standing on is going to get covered with high tide, so can't stand here too long. Time's 12:10 and still hanging around at Smoky Beach. I've been here an hour now, and I've had the Sony Action Camera 300 on charge. Started off at about 1.5 watts, but now it's 1.8 watts. Angle of the panel to the sun seems very critical. It's not even normal to the direct line from the sun, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But when I had it perpendicular to the sun line, then it wasn't doing so well. So I've tried all different angles, and this is the one that gives me the most power. Over there is a hunter's hut. That's new since we were here in 2014. Nice place. Hang around maybe for another hour. When I last checked, I had about 1 watt hour of energy, so another hour might end up with about 3 watt hours. So the action camera was pretty flat, so it might give it about 60% charge. When I get to the other end of the beach, I'm going to have to go over the sand dunes, so that's going to be a bit tiring. And then over the next spur coming off the big mountains over there. So it's going to be quite a bit of uphill after we leave the beach, and then you'll be down the hill the other side to Yankee Hat. Tide's actually going out. Earlier I thought it was coming in, but obviously that was wrong. It's gone out quite a bit while I've been at the beach. Up. I've got the solar panel on top of the backpack, and I'll try continuing charging the Sony Action Camera 300 while walking along the beach. So it's not, probably a little bit, a couple of kilometres along the beach, and then it's up over the spur, and then I don't know, it might be 200 metres climb up, and then down the other side to Yankee River. Time is 13:44 and here's where we leave the beach. You can see a little white post. Also the two gentlemen that heading to Long Harry that came on the beach today, their footprints also leading the way. Looks very soft and you'd be sliding back. Although it does look a bit firmer with the vegetation. Looking back down on Smoky Beach from almost at the top of the climb up from the beach on the way to Yankee Hut. Time is 16:13 and I've reached Yankee River. Looks like a free wire bridge to cross, so we'll get cracking and we'll be at the hut shortly. Time is 16:30 and I've arrived at Yankee River hut. Two other people already here. What sort of fuckwit needs to smash the window of a unlocked hut to gain access? Really, some people should never be allowed out of their own house. Rained again for some hours during the night. Now it's 6 AM and it stopped raining, just overcast. Time is 8:45 and about to leave Yankee River hut for Christmas Village. It was raining quite hard a bit earlier but has now stopped. Was considering staying at Yankee River hut a day if it was going to be continuous heavy rain, but I'll push on because I think Christmas Village, if there's to be a lay day, be a better location. Young Kiwi couple who I just left back at the hut. They happen to be heading to Long Harry, but they've come from Christmas Village yesterday and they're saying it's quite a lot of up and down. I think there's something like 12 creeks to cross between here and Christmas Village, so that'll be down into the gully and then up the other side sort of thing. And it's also quite muddy with the rain overnight and early this morning. I'm sure what the mud pools which were drying out are now considerably wetter than they were, say, yesterday. Time is 11:47 and I've arrived at Lucky Beach. Not raining at the moment, a little bit brighter. Looks like it's high tide. Many sandflies here, they're really eating my hands alive. I think I'll go up into the forest. Lunch at the campsite at Lucky Beach. Sandflies being really annoying. I've tried putting the tea tree ointment on the hands to try and deter them because they were really swarming on my hands walking along the beach there. And it seems to be effective. They don't. There's fewer sandflies here at the campsite than there were at the beach. Anyway, it's fun. Time is 14:20 and just seen what I think is 2 deer, definitely 1. They were ahead of me on the track by about 25 metres. They didn't see me and able to get some photos, and we were watching each other, and then all of a sudden the deer bolted off and I thought I saw the second one also bolt, but it was further away. What alerted me to the deer was the movement. My initial thought was someone else on the track. Only 3/4 an hour ago I met 2 Kiwi heading towards Yankee Hut. I asked them if anyone else was coming, they said no, so if it wasn't someone then must be deer, and that's what it was. Time is 17:05 and I've arrived at Christmas Village. Very nice. You can see some stormy clouds out at sea. Might be some showers coming in from the sea, who knows. Sky looks very threatening over in the west. Pretty cold, no firewood, and it starts to rain again in the evening. So the best thing I can think of is to hop into the sleeping bag and keep warm. Well, this is the Wednesday 5th of December and it's, I think it's about 9 days since I left Oban on the 27th of November. So it's 9 days living off my supplies that I've carried with me around the track. So this is what I've got left for breakfast. I've been having one of these sachets of instant oats, brown sugar and honey, and there's 3 of them remaining. I've been making the pancakes. This is how much of the pancake mixture I've got left, so maybe 2, maybe a bit more than 2 of days of pancakes remaining. And the milk, not much left. I put in 2 spoons into the porridge and 2 spoons into the pancakes, so that'll probably see them out. On the pancakes I put in the peanut butter, and I think we're down to about 1/3. The honey, which is probably between 1/3 and 1/2. The olive oil, which I use with the pancakes, and about 1/2 a bottle of coffee. Still a little bit left in the packet over there. Then for lunch, I got still quite a bit of the fruit and nut mixture left, so I want to probably could make this 3 or 4 days perhaps. I've got some Colby cheese, so that's probably 3 days there. I've got some pasta which was given to me way back at Mason Bay. Probably have that for lunch. Could probably make 2 lunches out of that, and I'll use a bit of the cheese with it. Not many of the biscuits left. I'll save them for the walking day, so that's to Bunn and then to Oban. And a little bit of chocolate left, so I'll be saving that. And dinner, I seem to have a stack of soup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these and 1 of these, so that's 7. So obviously no brainer, lunch today will be soup with the pasta and a bit of cheese. And I've got 2 of these 2-person backcountry meals remaining. So that's Mediterranean lamb and black olives, and tandoori chicken with creamy yogurt sauce. I have half each night, so that's 4 nights. So that's my food total. So I'm staying another night here at Christmas Village. It's supposed to be raining today, although it's looking slightly brighter outside. But nice place. I'll stay here and I'll just go up the beach a bit later on. And tomorrow be to Bunn. Probably could walk out from Bunn to Oban in 1 day if I wanted to. It'll be a longish day, but it's possible. Or I could split it and camp at Maori Point or something, Maori Beach. So expect to be out on Saturday. So that'll leave Saturday night, Sunday night and Monday night in Oban at the Backpackers, and that'll be camping. I think, according to the weather, Thursday and Friday are going to be better than the last 2 days. It's supposed to be sun/cloud, whatever that means, but not much in the way of precipitation, and rain again on Saturday. So that about sums it all up, and I'll now be making my pancakes and finish my breakfast, and then probably go down to the beach in an hour, 2 hours time or something and take some pictures and see what we can find. Too many sandflies out here. Just doing some solar panel experiments. The solar panel seems to be charging the action camera 300 and it's only been out maybe 15 minutes and I've got 0.17 watt hour of energy. So it's not the brightest of sun, but the panel seems to like producing voltage of about 3.5 volt, which is not enough for the phone or the power bank to charge, whereas the charge light on the action camera will come on when voltage is under 4 volt. Two forces of nature meeting at the beach. First off, we've got the creek bringing water down from the mountains through the forest, and it's encountering the sea, which is rising with the tide, and the two meeting at the beach. Incredible. I was just wandering along the beach. It's a bit further down the beach, actually where the creek enters the sea, about 40 metres away, and I saw a seal. It was just cruising along the breaking waves about 10 metres offshore. I had the video camera, the action camera 200 out, and got video of it cruising along the waves, but before I could get the Fujifilm camera out, it disappeared, and I haven't been able to see it again. I did see it a little bit later, you know, like 2 minutes later, and it was about 40 metres further down the beach, so it's looks like it's disappeared. So I'm just sitting on the beach here. Tide's come in. I don't know if it's reached peak yet or not, but That boat that was there last night is still there too. And too many midges. Time is 10 to 9 and the young French couple have just left about 10 minutes ago. I'm about to leave now. Wonderful place, Christmas village, really enjoyed time here. Beach not far away now. Up towards the source. That would be the Murray River right over on the other side. It's not the river. Time to go back into the forest. Well, it's Friday, 7 December, and I'm here alone at Bunn Hut. Time is 10 a.m. I think. Last night there were 4 other people in the hut. There was Alexis and Diane from France. They left very early to return back to Oban because they've got a ferry to catch at 5 p.m. this evening. And Jens and Lucas were also here. They're just starting their Northwest Circuit trip and they've headed off to Christmas Village. I first started my trip on Stewart Island on the 17th of November. And on Tuesday, the 11th of December, I'll be returning back to the mainland on the ferry. So my days on Stewart Island are drawing to a close. It's been a wonderful time. I've enjoyed great weather and I'm just spending my final days at Stewart Island before reaching Oban here at Bunn. So I'll stay here again tonight. I've been going through my food and it's sort of on its last legs, so can't really stay any more than another 2 nights out in the backwoods before I need to return back to Oban to restock. Really enjoyed my time on the island. I've had great weather, met some nice people. Food wise, I got one more rolled oats sachet. That'll be for tomorrow's breakfast. I can make enough for one more pancake. I got about 5 cup of soups. I got a bit of cheese. So for lunch today I'll have what's left of the pasta I got from Mason Bay from those English people. And I'll add a bit of the cheese and one of the cup of soups. I got some enough fruit and nut mixture for maybe 2 or 3 more lunches. So my final breakfast will be the fruit and nut mixture. And that'll probably be camping in 2 nights' time. That's Saturday night at Maori Beach, and then it'll be a relatively short, easy walk out to Oban on the Sunday. I got 1 2-person backcountry meal remaining, a little bit of chocolate, 1 of the biscuits and some crumbs. So I got enough to get me by. It's about 3 hours tomorrow to Port William, and then it's a good track to Maori Beach, and that same good track continues to Lees Bay, and then it'll be on the bitumen road. So the hard kilometres are behind me, and it's just cruising once I get to Port William to get back to Oban. So that's about all I can think of saying at this time. I hope the French people fulfil their dream of seeing a Kiwi. I'm told there's one someone saw yesterday on the track somewhere over towards Port William. So if your luck's on your side, then you'll see one. And also told a deer came here to the hut grazing. So I was hoping to do some washing today, but it's a bit overcast. So not sure whether that wish will be fulfilled. Probably could. Things will dry in the wind here. It's pretty breezy. And yeah, I'll just waste away the hours of the day. Not going to go much further than the beach. Tide's coming in. It'll be high tide this afternoon. So that's me signing off now until later on. Guys, I've been drawing on the power bank. I did manage to charge it up to 3 bars at Murray's Beach yesterday, and then I did that long time lapse which just about flattened the Sony 200 battery. I charged that up overnight and also topped up the charge on the Sony 300 action camera. And now the power bank's down to 1 bar. So if I hadn't had those sunny days where I was able to charge things direct from the solar panel, I wouldn't have been able to survive, two and a bit weeks out in the back country with just the 1 power bank. So it's been my fortune with the weather that I've had the sunshine to be able to utilise the solar panel. Have noticed clear differences between what can be done in Australia and what can be done on Stewart Island with regard to the solar panel. Continue thinking about the ramifications of this, whether it's a type of solar panel. So I'll keep that in my mind. But phones also, last I think checked was 69%. So as soon as I start using phone, Facebook, and at the moment now it's using as a monitor for this video, and the sandflies are getting me. There's found me. So that'll really take the rest of the juice out of the power bank if I have to recharge that. So I'll shut up now, turn the phone off, and get about my chores. My friend the spider, it catches sandflies in its web, not really enough to make any dent in the population that's hovering around on the veranda this morning. Time's about 20 to 8 and I've finished breakfast, just about ready to leave for Oban. Absolutely out of food, no more breakfast stuff. I've got enough for lunch and I've got half a packet of freeze-dried. That's all that remains. Little bit of peanut butter, little bit of honey, some olive oil, and that's it. So, not the best of days. I think I can feel a little bit of drizzle at the moment, not very light, but head back to Oban and I'll be staying tonight at the backpackers camping, and first stop will be Four Squares to get some food, and might have dinner at the South Seas Hotel. Blue cod sounds nice. Plenty of oysters clinging to the rocks here at Kiwi Bay. Gowland's sawmill, probably Stewart Island's first sawmill, building a small water-powered sawmill on this site in 1861 was a milestone that took Stewart Island's timber industry to a new level of production. Recall when I was last here, before starting the northwest circuit, the beach was covered in seaweed from that period of strong easterly winds. Seems now that they've cleared the beach.